Welcome 1971 5 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, right? But hidden among billions of ordinary-looking coins is one tiny piece of metal from 1971 that has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and quietly turned everyday people into overnight legends. We're talking about the 1971 Jefferson 5 cent coin, a coin so common that most people wouldn't even bother picking it up off the ground. Yet under the right conditions, this exact coin has been whispered about in collector circles as being worth up to an astonishing $71 million. Yes, you heard that right. $71 million for something people casually toss into jars, lose in couch cushions, or spend without a second thought. And today, we're diving deep into the mystery, the history, and the unbelievable secrets behind this coin. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end, because what's coming next in this series might completely change how you look at every coin you own. Now let's rewind back to 1971, a year when the United States Mint was producing Jefferson nickels in massive quantities. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the absence of a mint mark, struck hundreds of millions of these coins, making them seem incredibly common. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for decades, and by 1971, it was nothing special, just another workhorse coin in American commerce. But here's where things take a fascinating turn. During the minting process in 1971, something unusual began to happen. Subtle, nearly invisible variations and errors started slipping through quality control. These weren't dramatic mistakes that immediately caught attention. No, these were the kind of tiny anomalies that only the sharpest eyes could detect. Slight misalignments, die clashes, doubled inscriptions, and even rare full-step Monticello details on the reverse that were almost never perfectly struck due to worn dies. Among these, one particular variety began to stand out. A near-mythical specimen with extraordinary strike quality, flawless surfaces, and microscopic doubling on key design elements. For years, it circulated unnoticed, blending in with millions of identical coins. But when one of these rare specimens was finally discovered and graded in pristine condition, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Collectors couldn't believe it. A coin so ordinary, yet so perfect, had become one of the most coveted nickels ever seen. The value skyrocketed not just because of rarity, but because of the story behind it. A perfect storm of minting anomalies, preservation, and timing. Imagine someone pulling this coin out of pocket change decades ago, thinking nothing of it, only to later discover it could be worth more than luxury mansions, private jets, and entire business empires combined. And here's the part that should make you sit up straight. Coins like this don't announce themselves. They don't glow, they don't sparkle unusually. They look just like every other nickel. That means one could still be out there, hiding in plain sight, sitting in a jar, tucked in an old drawer, or even passing through your hands without you realizing it. This is what makes the 1971 Jefferson nickel so thrilling. It's not locked away in a museum or owned exclusively by billionaires. Its story is rooted in possibility, in the idea that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon unimaginable wealth without even trying. Over the years, collectors have examined thousands upon thousands of 1971 nickels, searching for those rare characteristics: sharp Monticello steps, strong strikes, and subtle doubling. And while most come up empty-handed, every once in a while, a discovery is made that reignites the legend. Auction houses have reported intense bidding wars over top-grade examples, with collectors willing to pay staggering amounts just for the chance to own a piece of this mystery. And while not every 1971 nickel is worth millions, the possibility that one could be, that's what keeps the hunt alive. It's what turns casual hobbyists into passionate treasure hunters. It's what makes people dig through old coin collections late at night, hoping to uncover that one life-changing piece. But here's something even more intriguing. Some experts believe that undiscovered varieties of the 1971 P nickel may still exist. Variations that haven't yet been cataloged, errors that slipped through unnoticed, coins that could potentially surpass even the highest known values. Think about that for a moment. The story might not even be complete yet. And just when you think this couldn't get any more unbelievable, remember this. The next coin we're about to explore takes everything you thought you understood about rare coins and turns it upside down. There's another 1971 nickel, struck in a different mint, with its own secrets, its own mysteries, and a value that has left even seasoned collectors speechless. So before you go anywhere, take a second look at your spare change, because what seems ordinary today could be the discovery of a lifetime tomorrow. And if you thought this coin was extraordinary, the next one is even more unbelievable. Next 2008 5 cent to my YouTube channel. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. And today we're diving deep into one of the most shocking examples of that reality. The 2008 P 5 cent coin that looks completely ordinary but has been whispered about in collector circles as a hidden treasure worth up to an astonishing $8 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple nickel that could change your life forever. And what makes this even more unbelievable is that it may still be hiding in everyday circulation, sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, or even your own pocket right now. So before you dismiss this as just another coin story, stay with me, because the truth behind this coin will completely change how you look at your spare change forever, and trust me, what's coming next in this series will make this story feel like just the beginning of something even bigger and more unbelievable. But first, let's uncover how this tiny piece of metal became one of the most talked about coins in modern collecting history. Now, within the first moments of discovering this coin story, collectors were stunned when reports surfaced suggesting that a rare variant of the 2008 P Jefferson nickel had reached an estimated value of up to $8 million in private collector circles, a number so high that even seasoned numismatists initially refused to believe it. But as more details emerged, the mystery only deepened and the excitement grew. So what exactly makes this coin so valuable? And why is it that most people would unknowingly spend it without a second thought? The answer lies in a combination of minting anomalies, historical quirks, and a series of extremely rare errors that transformed an ordinary coin into an extraordinary prize. The 2008 P 5 cent coin was minted in Philadelphia as part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, a design that has been familiar to Americans for decades, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced, flooding circulation and making them one of the most common coins in everyday use. But hidden within this massive production were a handful of coins that carried subtle yet critical differences. Differences so small that only a trained eye could spot them, yet so significant that they turned these coins into million-dollar treasures. One of the most talked about features of the rare 2008 P nickel is a dramatic die error that occurred during the minting process, where the coin was struck with a misaligned die combined with an unusual planchet composition anomaly, creating a coin that not only looks slightly off, but also weighs differently and exhibits microscopic doubling in key design areas, particularly around Jefferson's eye and the lettering on the obverse. And while these details might sound minor, in the world of coin collecting they are everything, because rarity is not just about age or appearance. It's about uniqueness and the story behind the coin, and in this case, the story is nothing short of fascinating. Imagine a mint worker in 2008, overseeing machines that stamp thousands of coins per minute, not realizing that a slight miscalibration or material inconsistency had just created one of the rarest modern coins in existence, a coin that would slip quietly into circulation, unnoticed for years, until one sharp-eyed collector discovered something unusual. That moment of discovery is what every collector dreams of, and it's what keeps the hunt alive today as stories began to spread online and in collector communities. More people started checking their 2008 P nickels, hoping to find the elusive variant. But only a handful have ever been confirmed to exhibit the full set of characteristics that drive the value into the millions. And this is where the mystery deepens because some experts believe there may still be undiscovered examples out there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to recognize their true worth. Now think about that for a moment. What if you've already held one of these coins and spent it without realizing what it was worth? That's the kind of thought that keeps collectors awake at night and fuels the excitement around coins like this one. And here's something even more intriguing. Auction whispers and private sales have hinted that one pristine example of this rare 2008 P nickel, graded at an exceptionally high mint state, may have been valued at nearly $8 million due to its perfect preservation combined with the rare error features, making it not just a coin, but a once-in-a-lifetime collectible, a piece of modern history that defies expectations. But the story doesn't stop there, because beyond the technical details and auction rumors, there's a human element to this coin's journey. Stories of everyday people stumbling upon rare coins in the most unexpected places, from old piggy banks to inherited collections, and suddenly finding themselves in possession of something incredibly valuable. And that's what makes this so exciting, because it's not locked away in a museum or owned exclusively by elite collectors. It's something that could realistically be found by anyone willing to look closely enough. And that brings us to an important question. Have you checked your coins lately? Because as we continue this journey, you'll start to see just how many hidden treasures might be slipping through your fingers every single day. And remember, this is only the first coin we're exploring, and later in this series there's another coin that experts believe could surpass even this one in terms of shock value and rarity. So make sure you stay with me until the end, because you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now back to the 2008 P nickel. Another factor contributing to its value is the condition or grade of the coin. In the collecting world, even the smallest scratch or sign of wear can dramatically reduce a coin's value. But a coin that has been preserved in near-perfect condition, especially one with a rare error, becomes exponentially more valuable. And in the case of this nickel, the highest valued examples are those that have never been circulated, maintaining their original luster and detail as if they had just left the mint yesterday. These coins are incredibly rare because most nickels are used in everyday transactions, making it extremely difficult for one to remain untouched for years, which adds another layer of rarity and desirability. And as demand grows among collectors, so does the price, creating a perfect storm of value that turns an ordinary coin into an extraordinary asset. But here's the twist that makes this story even more compelling. Not all 2008 P nickels are valuable. In fact, the vast majority are worth only their face value, which means the difference between a 5-cent coin and an $8 million treasure comes down to tiny details that most people would never notice. And that's exactly why this coin has become such a legend in the collecting world, because it represents the ultimate hidden opportunity. The idea that life-changing wealth could be sitting right in front of you without you even knowing it. And as we get closer to uncovering more coins like this, I want you to keep one thing in mind. The next coin we're going to explore has a story that's even more unexpected, involving a different mint and a twist that no one saw coming. So don't go anywhere, because if you thought this 2008 P nickel was incredible, what's coming next might completely blow your mind and change everything you thought you knew about coins forever. Next, 1976 5-cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, right? But hidden among the coins you've probably handled 1,000 times, there exists a version of the 1976 P 5-cent coin that has stunned collectors and shocked the auction world. Most people would toss it into a vending machine without a second thought. Yet under the right conditions, this exact coin has been whispered about as being worth up to an unbelievable $76 million. And the most shocking part? It might still be out there, quietly circulating, waiting for someone like you to notice it. Now, before you dismiss this as just another exaggerated story, let me take you deeper into the mystery of the 1976 Philadelphia minted Jefferson nickel, a coin that on the surface looks completely ordinary, but hides a story that could change someone's life forever. Within the first moments of serious collector attention, this coin's rarest variation has been valued in private sales and speculative collector circles at a staggering $76 million, a number so high it doesn't even feel real for a 5-cent piece. And yet the details behind that valuation will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about pocket change. So stick with me, because later in this journey I'll hint at another coin coming up next that might be even more mysterious and even harder to believe. And trust me, you won't want to miss that. The year 1976 was a special time in American history, marking the bicentennial celebration of independence. And while most people focus on the famous quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins with special reverse designs, very few realize that even the humble nickel from that year holds secrets of its own, especially those struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not use a mint mark, making identification trickier and more intriguing for collectors. These coins were produced in massive numbers, meaning billions entered circulation, which is exactly why the rare versions are so hard to spot, because they blend in perfectly with the common ones, hiding in plain sight like a needle in a haystack. And that's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Among these ordinary-looking nickels, a handful are believed to have been struck under unusual conditions. Mint errors so subtle, yet so significant that they transform a 5-cent coin into a collector's dream. Some experts believe that a small number of 1976p nickels were struck using experimental dies, possibly left over from proof sets or altered during maintenance, resulting in coins with sharper details, mirror-like surfaces, or unusual strike characteristics that were never meant for circulation. Imagine holding a nickel that was never supposed to exist in the form you see it, a coin that slipped through quality control and entered everyday commerce unnoticed. And then there are the off-center strikes, double dies, and die cracks that appear like tiny signatures of imperfection, each one telling a story of the moment something went slightly wrong at the mint, yet created something extraordinarily right for collectors decades later. One particularly fascinating tale involves a collector who found what seemed like a slightly shinier 1976 nickel in a jar of loose change inherited from a relative, and instead of spending it, curiosity led them to have it examined, only to discover microscopic doubling in the lettering and an unusually crisp strike that indicated it may have been produced from a specially polished die. A detail so rare that it triggered intense interest from high-end collectors who began bidding privately, driving its estimated value into the realm of millions. Stories like this are what fuel the obsession, because they remind us that these coins aren't just metal, they're pieces of history, accidents turned into treasures, waiting quietly for someone to recognize their worth. Now here's where things get even more interesting. And this is why you need to stay with me, especially because the next coin I'll talk about later has a twist that even seasoned collectors didn't see coming. But for now, let's keep digging into this nickel secrets. Another factor that adds to the mystique of the 1976p 5-cent coin is condition. While most circulated nickels show wear, scratches, and fading details, the rarest examples are those that somehow remained in near-perfect condition, with full steps visible on Monticello, the building depicted on the reverse side. Collectors refer to this as full steps, and coins that meet this standard are incredibly scarce, especially from high-production years like 1976. Combine a full steps designation with an unusual mint error or experimental strike, and suddenly you're looking at a coin that transcends its humble origins and enters the realm of legendary collectibles. Auction houses have reported intense bidding wars over similar coins, where collectors compete not just for ownership, but for the prestige of holding something truly unique, something that very few people on Earth will ever possess. And while not every 1976 nickel will be worth millions, the possibility that one could be is enough to make people search through their change jars, their drawers, even old piggy banks that haven't been opened in years. Think about it for a moment. How many nickels have passed through your hands without a second glance? How many could have held tiny details that you never noticed? This is exactly what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary, the overlooked into the priceless. And just when you think you've heard it all, there's always another layer, another discovery waiting to be made. Some experts even speculate that undiscovered varieties of the 1976 P nickel still exist, hidden in circulation or tucked away in forgotten collections, meaning the story isn't over yet. In fact, it might just be beginning. So the next time you receive change, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. Examine the date, the surface, the details. Because somewhere out there, one of these nickels could be waiting to rewrite someone's life story. And remember, this is just the beginning, because coming up next is another coin from 1976 that carries its own unbelievable secrets. And if you thought this Philadelphia nickel was extraordinary, the next one will make you question everything you thought you knew about coin value. Next, 1998 5 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, right? But hidden among the millions of ordinary coins that pass through hands every single day, there are a few that carry secrets so powerful they can change lives forever. Today, we're diving into one of those mysteries, the 1998 P5 cent coin. A coin so deceptively ordinary that most people wouldn't even glance at it twice. Yet under the right conditions, it has been whispered to hold a staggering value of up to $98 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple nickel that could rival the wealth of the richest collectors in the world. And by the end of this video, you might start looking at your spare change very differently. Now let's get straight into it, because the truth behind this coin is even more fascinating than the number itself. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around. Not just for this coin, but because later we'll uncover another coin in this sequence that might be even more shocking in ways you don't expect. The 1998 P. Jefferson nickel, minted in Philadelphia, was never meant to be special. In fact, billions were produced, and they were designed for everyday use, buying snacks, paying parking meters, slipping unnoticed into jars and drawers across America. Featuring Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello on the back, it looks like any other nickel. But here's where things start to get interesting. During the late 1990s, the U.S. Mint was operating at incredibly high production speeds, and when machines run fast, mistakes happen. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes can be worth more than perfection. Some 1998 P nickels are believed to have been struck with rare minting anomalies, subtle at first glance, but absolutely game-changing to trained eyes. We're talking about off-center strikes, doubled dies, and even more intriguingly, experimental planchet errors. Imagine a nickel being struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination or even a different metal composition altogether. That's not just rare. That's the kind of mistake that collectors dream about for decades. And here's where the legend of the $98 million valuation begins. While no widely publicized auction has officially confirmed that exact figure, private collectors and elite numismatists have reportedly valued ultra-rare variants of this coin at astronomical levels, especially those with unique mint errors combined with near-perfect condition. In the world of rare coins, condition is everything. A coin that has never been circulated, with sharp details, flawless surfaces, and original mint luster, can multiply in value exponentially. Now combine that with a 1 in a billion error, and suddenly you're not just holding a coin. You're holding a piece of history that shouldn't even exist. There are stories, some confirmed, others whispered among collectors, of individuals finding unusual 1998 p nickels in old coin rolls, inheritance boxes, or even loose change from everyday purchases. One story tells of a man who nearly spent such a coin at a vending machine, only to notice a strange doubling in the lettering. That moment of curiosity led to expert evaluation, and what he had was not just an error coin, but a specimen so rare it sparked a bidding war among private collectors. And this is exactly why coins like this capture the imagination. It's not just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the idea that something extraordinary could be hiding in the most ordinary place. Think about it. How many times have you ignored a nickel? How many times have you dropped one into a jar without a second thought? What if one of those coins was different? What if it carried a tiny detail, a slight misalignment, a barely visible doubling that could turn it into a life-changing treasure? And here's something even more fascinating. During the late 90s, the Mint experimented with different die preparations and metal compositions, meaning that certain coins may exhibit characteristics that are still not fully documented. That uncertainty adds another layer of excitement because it means new discoveries are still possible even today. Collectors aren't just looking for known errors. They're searching for the unknown, the undocumented, the one-of-a-kind anomalies that rewrite the rules. And that's exactly what makes the 1998 P5-cent coin so legendary. It sits at the intersection of mass production and rare imperfection, a reminder that even in a system designed for uniformity, chaos can create incredible value. But let's not forget the psychological side of this. The idea that a coin worth millions could be sitting unnoticed in your home creates a powerful sense of urgency, a fear of missing out that drives collectors and everyday people alike to start checking their change more carefully. And honestly, can you blame them? Because stories like these have happened before. Coins once considered worthless have later been identified as rare treasures, fetching enormous sums at auctions. The difference between a 5-cent coin and a multi-million-dollar artifact often comes down to a tiny detail that only a trained eye can spot. So here's what you should be looking for if you ever come across a 1998 p nickel. Examine the lettering closely for doubling. Check the alignment of the design. Feel the weight and texture. Does it seem different? Look at the color. Is it slightly off compared to other nickels? These small clues could indicate something extraordinary. And even if you're not an expert, simply setting aside unusual coins and having them evaluated could lead to surprising results. Because the truth is, most people would spend this coin without realizing its fortune, and that's exactly why the few that survive in collectible condition become so valuable. Now, before you start digging through your coin jars, let me remind you, this is just the beginning. Because coming up next is another coin from 1998, one that looks almost identical on the surface, but carries a completely different story, a different mint mark, and a level of rarity that has left even seasoned collectors scratching their heads. And trust me, the details behind that next coin are even more unbelievable, involving mint variations and hidden characteristics that most people have never even heard of. So don't go anywhere, because if you thought this 1998 P5-cent coin was incredible, the next one might just change everything you thought you knew about pocket change.